But a seismic decision in the NCAA landscape comes down this morning, press conference yesterday with Charlie Baker and the Power 5 commissioners. The NCAA and its leagues are planning to move forward with a multi-billion-dollar agreement to settle 3 pending federal antitrust cases, according to ESPN. It's reported by Pete Thamel and Dan Murphy. And there's a lot to sift through, and it could take an hour just to go through all of this. But high level, this will settle the 3 antitrust cases: House versus the NCAA, Hubbard versus the NCAA, and Carter versus the NCAA. And I will talk about this at length with Darren Heitner on Inside the Transfer Portal throughout the weekend. But bottom line is, all Division I athletes dating back to 2016 are eligible to receive a share as part of these settlement cases. And moving forward, there will be effectively a revenue share of the revenue that's coming into the schools. And schools will be allowed to pay up to $20 million a year per school. For the schools at the top end paying $20 million, they'll obviously have an advantage over the schools that can't afford to pay that much or frankly don't have that much revenue coming in, but it remains the haves and the have-nots. But safe to say, a massive story. Details will continue to unfold. There will be shockwaves sent throughout the NCAA, and it will create changes amongst the NCAA, cutting of sports. There will be a lot of different ways in which this will get impacted, and we'll follow this story as it continues to morph and evolve over the next few weeks. The payments will be made over the course of the next few months, and the revenue shares will start at the beginning of the 2025 athletic season. So let's move on to the NBA. We obviously had a big game last night where Boston went to a 2-0 lead over the Pacers. They win that game 126-110. Jaylen Brown, another massive performance. Career high for him are 40 points, along with 5 rebounds and 2 assists. Jayson Tatum chimes in with 23 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. And Derek White, a fantastic game for him, chipping in 23 points. As the Celtics take a 2-0 commanding lead, but as Jayson Tatum mentioned in this upcoming clip, the Knicks had a 2-0 lead on the Pacers as well.
Jayson, just how pleased are you to get out of here up 2-0 heading to Indy for Game 3, as what you guys were able to accomplish here?
Yeah, I mean, winning is hard. Winning in the playoffs is tough. It never goes, I guess, how you expect it to. Each game is different in its own right. It did feel good to finally win a game 2, especially at home. So, but we understand that New York was up 2-0 and they ended up losing that series. So, far from relaxed, but you take a win whenever you get it.
Jayson, how important is Jaylen's voice? Obviously his play has been big, but his voice, becoming more vocal. I know, in one of the games you struggled early in the playoffs, he was like, Jayson found his rhythm. We got to see him find his rhythm even more. Has he kind of been in your ear for a lot of this playoff run, motivating you and pushing you? Like, what's his voice been like for you and the team?
Yeah, I think it's important for every guy in that locker room to speak up, right? We all respect each other, and that comes from trust. We see the work that everybody puts in every single day and the growth from, whenever your first year here was until now, the growth and development of every single guy. And we have that environment where, everybody has a voice from the top guy to, the last man on the bench, right? We all in this together. You need to encourage somebody, do so. If you see something that we're doing wrong, it's your job to speak up.
So good stuff there from Jayson Tatum. Jaylen Brown obviously having a massive impact on this series, on the postseason, and on the NBA season as a whole. I think we'll talk about this a little bit later in the show with Coach James Young, our lead basketball analyst. But sometimes we take for granted what the star will do, the star in Jayson Tatum will do, but it's oftentimes the number 2 player like a Jaylen Brown that can impact who wins an NBA title, and Jaylen Brown clearly putting them on the right path. Pascal Siakam now talking about the Pacers' defense. Their offense is talked about much and what their pace looks like and how many points they can put up, but he talks about their defense right here and how they can step up.
I think our defense got a lot better, and I think obviously for me coming in at that time of the year, and I can see the progress that the team has made, in everyone, the commitment from the coaches, from the players, and we're here for a reason, we're here because, we did all the right things and we continue to do the right things. And I'm proud of our guys, like obviously Drew, big part of our defense, Aaron, Ty, like making efforts, Miles, like it just go down the line, guys are getting better. And that's the reason why we're here. And we're going to continue to get better. Obviously tonight it wasn't the game that we wanted to be, but we rectified for the next game.
I would say it'll have to be a lot better if the Celtics are going to drop 126 points and put themselves in a position to go up 2-0. The Pacers are going to have to be better defensively as well as continuing to drop as many points as they possibly can and utilizing that pace. So Tyrese Halliburton obviously exited the game early due to a sore left hamstring last night. He left in the third quarter, and Pacers coach Rick Carlisle said that he aggravated that injury that he suffered earlier in the season. Now that's a problem because Halliburton missed quite a bit of time during the year, and it impacted his play when he came back from that injury. So hopefully he's good to go. I don't feel great about it right now, but he's got a day to rest up before they play tomorrow night. Indiana obviously trails 2-0, and the game is tomorrow in Indianapolis. Another NBA story, Josh Giddey. NBA closes its investigation into Josh Giddey. There were allegations. Police previously determined they wouldn't pursue any charges, but there were allegations surrounding an inappropriate relationship with an underage girl. They surfaced on social media in late November, but Giddey cleared from any wrongdoing by the police and cleared from any further sanctions by the NBA, at least as we know today. Moving on to the WNBA, the Indiana Fever looking to secure their first win of the season versus the Los Angeles Sparks. They lost to Seattle Storm on Wednesday to fall 0-5. They lost 85-83. Number one overall pick Caitlin Clark and the Fever are hoping to get on the winning side of the ledger tonight. Staying with basketball, Duke and Kansas will face off in November in Las Vegas. Two of the most storied programs, obviously, in college basketball history. 9 national championships, 32 Final Four appearances between them. They will tip it off in Las Vegas. So that'll be a fun one for anybody that wants to travel out there. I appreciate that college basketball has done this over the years, trying to inject some juice into the early part of the season, which is often swallowed up by the NFL and even college football. So we'll see if Duke and Kansas can move the needle when it comes to Vegas in November. Onto the ice. The Edmonton Oilers defeated the Dallas Stars in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Final score was 3-2, so the Oilers get off to a good start there. Connor McDavid and the Oilers trying to get back to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in quite a while. Last thing on Scottie Scheffler, I don't know how much this story will remain a part of the news with Scottie Scheffler, but the Louisville Metro Police Department has taken corrective action against the police officer who is Detective Gillis, who arrested Scottie Scheffler because he did not have his body cam turned on. So Detective Gillis, this is a quote, Detective Gillis did not have his body-worn camera operationally ready as required by our policy. Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villarreal announced on Thursday. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg said there's no video available of Gillis's initial interaction with Scheffler. I think that's going to obviously hurt Louisville's case if there ever was one. So Scottie Scheffler cleared right there. Phillies are on fire. We're going to talk about that with Matt Lutovsky next. In addition to Matt Lutovsky, we'll have Jim Gazzaley later in the show. And as I said, Coach Young to go over the NBA playoffs.